Welcome to the CCFR Radio Podcast, your source for news, updates, and stories from the CCFR. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 41 of the CCFR Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Rod Giltaka. Today on the show, I'm really excited. I'm going to give you a CCFR update, but more importantly, for the next two segments after that, I will have Mike Loder. And Mike Loder is from New Zealand. He's been described as the most extreme advocate of arms ownership in the country. How ridiculous, but nonetheless, Mike is a very well-known firearm advocate who also testified in front of their committee during their recent gun bans, and I've finally been able to get a hold of him for a great conversation. So I have two full segments with Mike, and he is going to describe what I would consider a sobering and terrifying glimpse into Canada's future if we don't get our act together here. So stay tuned for that, and I'll be right back.
Once you lose rights, it's nearly impossible to get them back. Right now, there are politicians and bureaucrats working day and night to eliminate your ability to own and use firearms in Canada. They're talking about not allowing you to keep your firearms at home and even taking away the ones you already have. It's not a joke. It's not an exaggeration. Activism is a lot of work, and most people don't have the time. But something that you can do is support the CCFR. For $40 a year, you can be a part of the hardest working firearm organization in Canada and get $5 million worth of insurance. The CCFR lobbies government and works to improve the public image of gun owners through media and educational campaigns. Protect your own ability to own and use firearms before it's too late. Go to firearmrights.ca and click Why Join. That's firearmrights.ca.
All right, welcome back. I'm going to try to get through this CCFR update really quick. And that way we can get on to Mike, because it was a really interesting conversation and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. So the CCFR had our annual general meeting last weekend, and it was awesome. It was a week and a half ago, actually, and it was just awesome. It was great to meet everyone who came down. We had Corey and Doug from Coat of Arms. They were filming it for an episode. There's actually two episodes that we're gonna produce out of what we captured there at the AGM. And yeah, everything just went over really well. We did something different than we had ever done before, which is, I mean, if you're there, you know this, but if you weren't, I will let you know. Basically, we had a couple of speakers. We had Ryan Slingerland. So he's the young man that initiated I think it was e-petition 1608 with Rachel Harder, MP Rachel Harder, and that was against Bill C-71. It was the second most signed petition in e-petition history in our country. And then we also had, of course, Michelle Rempel, who has been a tireless supporter of firearm ownership. And there's an interesting story behind that as well. But we're really, really grateful to have Michelle out. And because our situation tends to be discouraging and depressing, and it's always negative, and we're always fighting with people and confrontations, and I personally don't like it. We thought we'd do something a little bit different at our dinner instead of just having instead of us commiserating about all of our challenges. And we had a comedian come in, and now I'm putting myself in a bad spot because I'm having a hard time remembering his name. But nonetheless, hopefully, I don't think he'll ever listen to this podcast. I don't think he was a gun owner. But the comedian was great, and I think everybody had a really great time. And that was one of the highlights for me, which was this surprise that instead of commiserating with all our friends all night, drinking rum, we actually had a comedian, which lifted everybody's spirits. So it turned out to be a great party afterwards. And thanks to everybody for coming. It was a massive success, and I personally had a really great time. Okay, next, don't forget the Podcasters Charity Shoot in Drumheller, Alberta. That is on July the 6th. I was just looking at the calendar. Make sure that if you can make it out there, it's going to be a great time. I will be there. I think I might even just be driving my truck out there and bring some guns with me. I might even shoot a few rounds, which should be really bad to watch because I haven't shot a gun probably in 6 months. The big gun guy, right? But that's just the way it is, I guess, when you're really busy. And also, this coming weekend, I will be at the GAT show, which is at the Silverdale Range in southern Ontario. I don't know. I don't know I don't know the areas there very well, but that's I'm going to be at the GAT show. I think it's GAT show GAT show Canada or Canada GAT show the website. But basically, search for the Guns and Ammo Show. And you'll find that's on Friday and Saturday this weekend. I'm going to be there. And also the vicious Tracy Wilson will be there with me. So we're going to have a great time there. We're going to shoot a couple of rounds. We'll be there at the CCFR booth to meet everyone. And it should be a great time all the way around. So that's what's happening this coming weekend. Now, I'm going to cut it off right here because I don't want to waste a bunch of time. I've got a really great interview with Mike Loder, and he's a really articulate, really well-spoken advocate in New Zealand. I'm jealous. I wish we had him here advocating for our rights here in Canada, but they're up against just incredible adversity as far as law-abiding gun owners in New Zealand, and I thought it would be instructive and maybe motivating to have Mike on just to see what they're going through in New Zealand, because the acts of one madman, hundreds of thousands of law-abiding gun owners are having their property seized from them. They don't, and they don't even know right now. Right now, they're hanging in the balance. They don't know whether their property is going to be seized at gunpoint for no compensation, or whether there's going to be a buyback or there's going to be grandfathering. They don't know. And it's a terrible place to be in, and it's very similar to the place that we are in right now, and certainly the place that we could be in the future if things don't change soon. So anyway, after the break, I'm going to come back with Mike Loder from New Zealand.
In case you didn't know, the CCFR can provide a comprehensive and competitively priced insurance package for your shooting club. The proceeds from insurance sold by the CCFR directly support our operations to protect and expand your rights to own and use firearms in Canada. The CCFR wants to present our insurance package to your club as soon as possible. To get started, email us at insurance@firearmrights.ca. That's insurance@firearmrights.ca.
Okay, on the Skype, finally, I was able to get Mike Loder, who has been described as the most extreme advocate of firearm ownership in the country, meaning New Zealand. And we're going to talk about all kinds of things today. Thanks for joining me, Mike.
My pleasure.
Okay, there's a lot to talk about. And we got to know each other a little bit just before I hit record.
I was enchanted.
Yeah, I'm sure you're very impressed. But there's so much to talk about. So let's get started. So I think the first thing is, can you give me just an overview, give everybody here in Canada just a glimpse of what's in our future, just an overview of when the Christchurch shooting happened, what exactly were the ramifications on firearm owners kind of right from the beginning there, and where is it now?
Okay, the first thing I really want Canadians to understand is two things. One, the speed at which this happened, the complete end run around democracy that was done and the speed with which it was done, and also the capitulation of our so-called opposition party and the media. And that's how this came to pass. So for those of you living under a rock who don't know, an Australian terrorist came to New Zealand. New Zealand police gave him a gun license under very dubious circumstances. That's being investigated at the moment. It looked like he shouldn't have had a license at all. He had one class of license, and he got some high-capacity magazines, which was a loophole in the law, which we were looking at tightening up anyway, and committed a horrific massacre in Christchurch, New Zealand, where 51 souls were lost. We know from his manifesto, the psycho did that in retaliation for an Islamic person killing 87 people with a truck. So we had one guy with a gun, killing less people in a revenge killing than some psycho did with a truck. And Jacinda Ardern, our Prime Minister, decided that that's it, we're banning those guns. She announced that within a matter of hours. She said that there will be gun law changes. We went, oh God, here we go. And then the Attorney General said, yep, we're banning them. And then someone had to take the Attorney General aside and said, no, we have to do that Parliament thing. And he went, oh yeah, okay, sorry. Then basically our laws went through in a matter of weeks. It was insane. It was insanity on fast forward. We're waiting, to put submissions in. Someone asked my Prime Minister from the media, asked Jacinda Ardern, and will the public be able to make submissions? She literally laughed and said, hurry. So that was the level of tyranny we were dealing with. There was 13,000 submissions to this insane process. Apparently, we were told that they were all read over a matter of 2 days. Again, do the math on that, 13,000 over 2 days. And then a report was given to the committee looking into that. That reported back to Parliament, and then they all congratulated each other on their fabulous efforts, both government and opposition, and we had new laws. It was absolutely insane. And that's the chaos we are now. The media have been appalling. Now we talk about propaganda, we throw Goebbels around, his name around too lightly. What we saw in New Zealand was insane. We had cartoonists in the papers portraying New Zealand shooters, firearm owners, as worms, literally as worms eating the country. We were mocked for even wanting to participate in democracy. The Prime Minister, the Crooked Police Union, and the Police Commissioner told us to stay out of it. So there's 250,000 licensed firearm owners in New Zealand. That's about 1 in 8 voters, I think. Certainly a huge chunk of the population. We were told to stay out of democracy. The media, again, their capitulation, their connivance with certain MPs was shocking. Sometimes they didn't edit it correctly. So they'd say things like, now, what are you going to tell the gun lobby? And they'd say, we'll tell the gun lobby to get stuffed. And you actually heard them go, excellent. As I've said before, they cooed to them like lovers. Excellent. And they didn't edit it. You could actually hear them do it. So and then by the time the dust settled, we just left going, what the hell just happened? So the New Zealand public thinks that they've banned semi-automatics. They've also banned a whole lot of other stuff, like any pump-action shotgun with a magazine capacity over 5 rounds, I think it is. Any kind of detachable magazine firearm is gone, and if you have any kind of magazine of any caliber, including rimfire, that holds over 10. Now, of course, that means Swiss rifles that are over 160 years old that no one makes ammunition for anymore, they're gone. Public doesn't realise that. People are going to be spending $100,000 on lever-action Winchester muskets to put in a grinder. So shooters can, of course, take that money and buy other guns that actually work. So in some cases, it's a shooter upgrade program, but that's what we're dealing with now in a nutshell. But it's been insanity on fast forward. So the one thing I really want to get across to your listeners is the speed at which this happened. So basically, if you get a tyrannical government, and if you get a capitulating media, and if you get a weak opposition, they will just steamroll you. It was just shocking. So it was a complete end run around democracy. And now we're just trying to deal with the consequences.
That's crazy. And I do think it's a glimpse into Canada's future, because there's talk right now about sweeping bans, nothing to really precipitate it, nothing to justify it, just sweeping bans. So at very least, what we're looking at is probably a ban on the AR-15, meaning it moves into the prohibited category.
Yeah.
Or up to and including a ban on all handguns and 18 semi-autos, which is that's the last thing I've heard. So, but so far we haven't had anything, but I'm sure something's coming. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted people just to listen to your story. Now, when the ban first took place, one of the things that I was focusing on was the idea that there were a couple of raids. Do you know anything about the people that had police show up at their homes looking for the guns that were now?
Yeah. Okay. So what happened was you can imagine if the Prime Minister says we will be changing gun laws and looking hard at semi-autos. So of course a lot of people went, oh, I want to get one. You had people, competition shooters. You had one guy, the guy we're talking about. I've actually spoken to him. He was raided. Basically, he was getting one for his birthday. His wife had agreed. He was getting a new semi-auto for his birthday. And when this came on, he went, well, there's confusing times ahead. I better go and grab one now. So some people went shopping. Simple as that. Again, these are lawful shooters. They're not stockpiling for the militia or something. They're just your average shooters. So this guy's a farmer. He's in he's in charge of several thousand head of cattle or something. Big farm. Police raid him based on that. Again, no other reason, but they raided him and a whole lot of other people based on no other reason than they went shopping after the ban. So long story short, they raided his worker's house on the same property and went, aha. And they went, well, not so much. That's my boss, and he lives next door. And they went, all right, give us your phone and be very quiet. We're going to do the same thing to him. He went, all right. So they went next door and went, aha. And he went, hello. So they basically separated him from his family at gunpoint. This is a lawful shooter who's done nothing but go shopping. They pointed guns at his kids, went over his house, took the gun, left him with his gun license and all the other guns, of course, and went, "Ha, job done." And of course, the people are just going, "What the hell just happened there?" I mean, again, these are lawful firearms. All you have to do is call them up and go, "Hey, it's the cops. Can you bring that in?" They go, "Okay." So there was a brief period of time between the ban was announced and the law came in. Some people went shopping. That was it. So they're just being treated like, terrorists. Absolutely extraordinary.
Well, I was aware of 2 situations where that happened. Was there more than 2?
There's 2 that I'm aware of. The other guy, the other one, you're right to bring that up. This guy, he volunteered his time to literally help bury the victims of Christchurch. So that's the content of that man's character. And again, I think he was a collector as well, which means his vetting was even higher. So the police, again, did the same thing to him. And he was just left going, "What happened? What are you doing, man?" And again, all you have to do is just rock up and, just phone up and say, "Can you bring them in? There'll be some biscuits waiting." It's just absolutely extraordinary and unnecessary. And there's basically a new thing now since Christchurch. I mean, you can basically, police could just rock up to your house and go, I'm here to fondle your wife's breasts. And you go, well, what gives you the right to do that? Since Christchurch, things have changed. People just don't question things anymore. They're just, so it's basically tyranny out of control. It really is.
Yeah. One of the way that I had found you, and I think I might have put this in the message, but I joined a group on Facebook called New Zealand Hunting.
Yep.
And I saw the video of, I guess you did, you testified for committee via Skype or something.
Oh, yes. This is basically you had the committee that were looking into the new laws. So this is the handful of people who are going to decide, what the new laws were. I think they decided they were going to hear, because you could make a written or a verbal submission. I think they allocated 10 people, was it, to actually speak to them? So that this law affects, every New Zealander. They gave one day and had about 10 people speak, and I was invited to speak because they thought they could do a bit of a character assassination. I'll leave it up to you how well that went. But it was quite insane. So, yeah.
Well, the astounding thing, and the reason why I just thought, oh, you know what, we need to talk, is because we just had a new bill called Bill C-71 that passed through our parliament and will get royal assent shortly and will become law. And I testified in the Senate committee and I testified in the House of Commons committee for that bill. And both times I experienced exactly the same thing that you experienced, which is the thing that drives me absolutely crazy. And the thing that also indicates clearly that we're right and they're wrong, which is when the questioning starts, it's never, where did you get this number? Or what leads you to believe that, firearm owners, this or that? It's always like, is it correct that you posted this meme on Facebook? Is it correct that you said this one time? It's all about character assassination and throwing mud at people. And it's never about, what are we here for? We're trying to create a law or regulation that's going to reduce violence in our society. And you're an expert. That's why you're here. Maybe I'll get your help. But the similarity in the way that I've been treated in committees and the way that you're treated, I thought, it just transcends oceans.
Yep, no, it is shocking. Also, I think we have something in common. We have the Green Party here. Basically, one of the things I do, of course, is ask all the different parties for their firearm policy and share it with people on my list. And I asked the Green Party, they wanted to re-examine the firearm acquisition certificate. And I'd never heard of that. I had to look it up. And apparently that's Canada. Is that right?
From 25 years ago, yeah.
From 25 years ago, yeah. So that's where the Green Party is. They literally don't know what country they're in or what time they're in. Now, you laugh because it is funny, but at the same time, these are the people who were on the committee deciding the new laws. They literally don't know what country they're in, let alone what works and what doesn't, and yet they're absolutely firm in their belief that they know what's best. It's just quite mad. Sorry, I'm repeating myself, saying mad and insane a lot, but that's where we are. It's just Dr. Strangelove.
Well, yeah, and so what I'm going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. Will you stay for one more segment?
I would be delighted.
Perfect. We'll be right back.
What would you think if you heard the government decided that your rifle or shotgun is now too dangerous to own? What if they told you that you couldn't keep it at your house, that you had to pay to store it at some central storage facility? What if they told you that you had to surrender it for destruction or go to jail? These actions are being discussed in government in Canada right now. Think about this. Have you taken any action whatsoever to prevent this from happening? Well, you can. For $40 a year, you can support the hardest working firearm organization in Canada, the Canadian Coalition for Firearm Rights, and get $5 million worth of insurance. The CCFR lobbies government and works to improve the public image of gun owners through media and educational campaigns. Protect your own ability to own and use firearms before it's too late. Go to firearmrights.ca and click Why Join. That's firearmrights.ca.
All right, we're back with Mike Loder, and I wanted to start this segment off, Mike, by saying we left off the last one by talking about gun control advocates and really how little they know and how they demonstrate time and time again how little they know, yet they are absolutely convinced they belong in the discussion.
We have a new gun lobby has just formed. You know about this?
No.
Okay, new anti-gun lobby called Gun Control New Zealand. It's a very, very clever name. I think they obviously workshopped that one. Now, this is by a whole lot of academics, and the other really disturbing thing is the other people involved in this, they all work in the public sector. So in other words, they're policymakers, and we keep seeing this. Like the United Nations will often fund groups to campaign itself for gun law changes. It's just obscene. So we're seeing a lot of that now as well. We've got these people who are getting all sorts of grants to study this and study that. And of course, they're not studying anything. They're simply propagandizing. But this later woman, Hera Cook, heads this up. She did a firearms seminar down in Wellington that I attended. That's our capital city. It was just the most rigged game. It was appalling. But I decided to talk to her on the way out because I just wanted to engage with her. And she mentioned the NRA and asked me what I thought. And what I was going to say was, well, often, it's a tricky situation, but they have to oppose some laws because as a result of disasters, some laws are proposed, but if those laws were in place, they wouldn't have prevented those disasters. So we need to look at that sort of thing. I got as far as, that was it. That was all it took. I didn't agree with her immediately. She snapped, started frothing at the mouth and said, do you want dead kids? Do you want dead kids? Is that what you want? Now, my face must have reflected what I was seeing, and she went, So she said, no, sorry about that, reined it in. But this is the sort of absolute mental extremist we're dealing with. Now, her area of study, apparently, I'm going to have to check this, but I think it was like unions, obviously, homeless people, men are bad, and vaginas, I think. And her compatriot studied what people do on buses. Right. So these are the experts. And they've now formed the anti-gun lobby and they're campaigning. These people literally know nothing. I mean, nothing. You can tell it from their terminology, and we're laughing at them at the moment. I challenged them to a debate. Of course, they immediately refused and said no, because they won't be questioned. They can't be questioned. On their Facebook page, they had 100% feedback of people going, "You're idiots." No, you are idiots. You're idiots. Also, you're idiots. So even people asking reasonable questions were banned immediately. Then people started hassling for banning people. They went, oh, it's an algorithm, it's not us. And now they actually came out and said, and it's a beautiful thing to actually see written down, we're not going to allow people to question us because it gives the impression that New Zealand doesn't support us. Now, isn't that extraordinary? That these are academics, these are university people who are teaching your kids. And they won't allow, not only will they not allow free speech or discourse, they won't allow to be questioned in case it gives the impression that people don't agree with them, because people must agree with them, obviously, because they're right. That's the arrogant entitlement they're coming with. These people are quite extreme. And again, I'm not pro-gun. I object to that term. I'm pro-logic, and that's not a soundbite. I mean that. If you can show to me, look, Mike, you need to lose a couple of rights there because it genuinely makes people safer, I'll go, okay, we can talk about that. But these people are literally anti-gun. They're frothing. It's impossible to engage with these people and deal with them.
Well, it is. And the story that you just told is almost a mirror image of what I'm dealing with right now in Canada, which is a new group because the old group is worn out. Nobody's listening to them anymore. A new group called Doctors for Protection from Guns.
Oh, yes.
Same focus group that came up with that name. that came up with the name of your new adversary.
Sorry to interrupt, but I've noticed something here. We see, and you can tell that this is internationally organised because you see the same patterns. Like a talking point will appear in Australia, and it's in Canada and New Zealand the next day. And a conscious decision has obviously been made that physicians are the way to go. We need to treat firearms as a health issue, because there's funding available for, in air quote, studies. And that enables the groups to basically pay themselves handsomely. And again, it plays well in the media. So sorry to interrupt, but yeah, we see that we're seeing that everywhere. Yep.
Oh yeah, it's all about academics and doctors because hey, how can you argue with these people? They've spent a disproportionate amount of time in school.
Healers.
Yeah, no kidding. So yeah, the exact same thing. They will not debate. It's funny. The cool heads in the room and the reasonable people in the room are the gun owners, and the academics and the doctors are the irrational, slanderous. It's a real role reversal because you'd think that, a lot of gun owners, blue collar oil field workers, they're going to be rough. I mean, these people are the ones that are the cool heads, and it's just a really strange time. And yeah, they will never debate. I've reached out several times to them, well, more than several times, numerous times. They will not debate. They will not. They won't even respond. They have a Twitter feed.
I've literally read their manuals of communication guides for the anti-gun lobby, and it talks again about do not engage in debate. It talks about staying with emotion.
How do you know you're losing?
Say again, sorry.
How do you know you're losing when your tactic is I can't get involved in a conversation, no discussion.
Yep.
I mean, it's just sick.
Oh, and just to give you an example of the quality of the studies we're up against. First of all, a lot of the time they never say anything. They ask questions. It's like lead poisoning at ranges. Does it kill kids? ? And that'll be a headline for a week in New Zealand. But no one says anything that you can actually counter and go, well, no, that's not the case, so apologise. They just ask questions. The other thing is there was one guy, he's an anti-suicide campaigner. He said that access to firearms, obviously, results in suicide. And I said, well, what do you base that on? And he goes, well, mainly anecdotal evidence. So it took me about 10 seconds to process that. What are you using? Tarot cards? What are you talking about, you imbecile? And I didn't say that. And he says, basically, I was talking to one guy and he said he was going to shoot himself, but he didn't. That's it. That's his research. So I did what he should have had 10 years to do. Apparently, this guy's lecturing on this. He's an expert in the field, apparently. I sent 2 emails, one to the police and one to the health service. And now the police breaks down New Zealand into policing regions. So I said, okay, how many shooters are there in each of those regions? Got those numbers. And then I asked the health service, who breaks down into similar regions, how many suicides are there? Compared them, there's absolutely no link whatsoever between firearms and suicides. Absolutely none at all. Not even a little bit in any way. Absolutely not at all. But again, you try and get that published. I've sent that to journals and what have you. No. Won't do it. And again, they will not respond to that. They continue. So it's first of all, it's lazy to actually allow someone to sell that kind of lie. But when it's actually been disproven to continue to do it, is disgusting. And again, you have the Crooked Police Union gets to speak everywhere. Before they go anywhere, I send people a care packages. Look, this is what they're going to say. It's a lie. Here's the data from government agencies. And they allow them to repeat those lies. So, I mean, these people simply have no credibility is the other thing.
Yeah, but they're getting forced down our throats by a complicit media and a government that must be taking instructions from somewhere, because in Canada, I mean, on an average year, we have between 160 and 180 firearm-related homicides in a nation of 36 million people.
Yep.
Which is similar to another number, which is 140. It's the number of Canadians that are injured by lightning per year. But apparently this is the biggest, problem that we're facing in our society.
Well, you know who's behind the lightning, don't you? Trump.
Exactly.
Trump.
It's the Russians, and Trump's letting it happen. I think
that's right. I think so. Yeah. Ugh.
Well, it's been really interesting talking to you, and you're a very articulate individual, and I think you're serving the gun owners of New Zealand very well. And
you're a sweetheart.
Yeah, well, it's It's a very difficult topic. It's emotionally charged. It's hyperbolic. Our adversaries are completely irrational. It's probably the most difficult thing to debate in our society. Maybe abortion or something like that, but when it comes to social issues, it is incredibly difficult.
I think they are the two. I've likened them before as well. It's you simply can't discuss it rationally. But again, at least with abortion, you can see where people are coming from. You can see how it would torture, someone's principles. But with shooting, no, there's no excuse for it. You're behaving like a child if you don't base yourself on reality based situations. And yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult road. Any predictions of how it's going to go in New Zealand from here?
We have the second tranche of because this is coming in installments. Remember, we had first of all there was an order in council that banned the semi-autos. Then we had the brutal new arms bill, and another one's coming. So they're talking about killing collector guns. They're talking about ending all sorts of shooting sports. So basically, we're hoping that the only thing we have in our favour at the moment is they had no idea what the buyback cost would be. They were told, probably 150 million. So they've budgeted 150 million. Right from the start, we're going, nah, that's 3 billion. And they went, that can't be right. Now, KPMG, their accountants have come back and went, yeah, we're thinking the low end will be, 1.5 billion. So they've budgeted literally 1/10 of what the low estimate is. So basically, it's going to cost the government at least $1 billion if they cheat New Zealanders out of $1 billion worth of accessories for their firearms. And that's before they spend $1 billion on the total registration system that they're pushing now. We've already abandoned registration because it was 66% inaccurate and did nothing. As you know, I think you guys dumped it as well. So they're trying to return to that, which is absolutely insane. So basically, the only leverage we have at the moment is they can actually, first of all, we've got time, so they can actually stop and think, and there's not going to be just a moat of nonsense. And the other thing is they're going to have to look at a budget and go, how are we going to do this? Now, we've got a filthy communist government, so of course it's other people's money, so it won't have as much effect as it would on sensible people. But at the same time, so we're hoping for, basically it's damage mitigation at the moment, it really is. And if there's some way of saving 3-gun shooting, that would be nice as well. So maybe we move MSSA, it's what we call a military style semi-automatic. Maybe we move that into the pistol category, which means you can only shoot them at clubs and things like that, but at least we keep the sport. Here's a clue as well. Whenever you have the word style in a legal definition, it's not a good one.
Yeah, no kidding. I had one more. Election coming up.
We have. So, oh my God, where's that going to land? We're talking about that at the moment. We have no idea. So we've got time to make cunning plans, but basically everyone's just furious and wants to lash out and punish everyone. National is our supposed opposition party. They're conservatives, but they're just weak. They were just capitulating and weak. It was appalling. So people are swearing to never vote for them again. Other people want to get inside the party and gut it. I think small parties, we have what's called a mixed member proportional voting system. So I think a lot of smaller parties are going to benefit. There's a guy called David Seymour. He deserves a shout out. He's with the ACT Party. He's basically a one-man opposition. He made the media because he said that he'd like to see the new gun laws before committing to them. That was an extreme position.
Yeah.
He wanted to see it before he committed completely to it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just extraordinary. So we have no idea what's going to happen yet. People are still deciding which way they're going to jump. But there's people saying, I've voted National my whole life, I'll never do it again. So it's strange days. But the other thing I wanted to mention is just how bad our police are over here as well with inventing policy. Again, with they just make shit up. Pardon my French. They just make it up. Like all the way from from the lowest guy to the top guy. Like the police commissioner banned semi-automatic firearms from import. We went to court and the judge went, "What are you doing? You can't do that." And he went, "Okay, sorry, have them again." I mean, it's just insane things like that. They keep being slapped back by judges and slapped back by ministers of police, and they keep going. So basically, we had basically you understand that I'm sure you have similar laws. If a firearm gets too short, it becomes a pistol. You understand that. So we have a minimum length, 762 millimeters. Now the police put in writing how they were going to measure it. Then they changed the policy, but they didn't tell anyone. So I heard a rumor and said, have you changed the policy? Because I'll need to tell some people. They wouldn't tell me. Let me make that clear. The New Zealand police would not tell me how to stay legal as a firearm owner. I had to use the Official Information Act and wait a month to get an answer to their new policy. And sure enough, they had changed it, and they made thousands of people criminals overnight. At other times, I've asked them their policy. They literally refuse to tell me, because basically we have different categories of firearms. You can have, say, a Mini 14, but if you have a Mini 14 with a big magazine, it becomes an E category gun, and only you can shoot it. So often people will have two guns, like one sporting AR-15 and one so-called military style one. The police went to someone's house, took the magazines out of one gun, put them in the other one, and said, right, that's illegal. I went, but I didn't do that, you did. Well, and yet here we are, you're under arrest. Which is just absolutely insane. They literally manufactured a crime. So I wrote to them and said, look, how do you want us to store these magazines then? I mean, because everyone's vulnerable to this now. They literally wouldn't tell us. So I've got it in writing from the New Zealand Police saying, we will not tell you our policy. We will not tell you how to avoid the law. And then the worst one is they in another case, they said, we don't have policy. I said, but mate, you're prosecuting people for breach of that policy right now. They went, yep. What's the policy? We don't have it. So that is the level of shit we're dealing with from the police as well. So basically what we're pushing for now is it's just time to have management of the Arms Act removed from the New Zealand Police and given to an independent authority. That's what we're pushing for now, because it's just been incoherent application of policy, incompetence and abuse. There's no oversight, and we're decades deep into that. So that's you asked what we're facing. That's also what we want. So we're aiming for that.
Wow, we have similar problems with the RCMP here too. Yeah,
I've heard some of the stories. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, there's lots of them, but we're here to hear what's going on in New Zealand. I think most gun owners know exactly what's going on in Canada here. So, well, that's that's a lot of information and a lot to process, and that's I don't know. I don't know. Can you?
Let's finish on a positive note. Anyway, let's stay positive. Again, I don't know if you know, I'm in a wheelchair. The shooting's the only sport I can enjoy one-on-one with my friends, and I've met some amazing people through it. People like you. Everywhere you go, you just meet awesome people. So let's celebrate what we do have. Work hard to keep it. And it's a wonderful sport. I'm very keen to pass it on to future generations. It's probably the oldest shooting sport in New Zealand. We have trophies that go back to the 1800s that have been continually competed for. It's just a big part of Kiwi culture. It's threatened because more people move to the city, and we're moving around a lot, which makes it harder to move gun safes around and what have you. But we're working hard to keep the sport going, and I'm confident we will. So let's focus on the positive.
Yeah. Now, how do people get a hold of you, or at least stay in touch to find out what's going on?
Okay. If you want to email me personally and say hi, it's info@mikeloder.com. There's no A in Loder, so it's MIKELODER. But the big one is shooterslottery.org.nz. Shooterslottery.org.nz. You can just sign up to the mailing list there. We keep people up to date, and also there's a little news page there where we do regular updates.
That's fantastic. Well, thanks for coming on today, and best of luck in the near term, Mike.
Thank you, and hello to Jessica in Thunder Bay. Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for episode 41 of the CCFR Radio Podcast. Thanks to everybody for listening to the podcast. Thanks for sharing it. Don't forget to share it. Try to get other people into it, because it's a really great way for us to stay in touch. As I mentioned before in previous podcasts, Facebook is starting to screw around with us. It's just social media, which has been really a great tool for us to stay together and to just spread our message and raise awareness and to spend time with like-minded people. I don't think it's going to be here forever. So whatever you do, make sure that if you do anything to do with your firearm advocacy, is go to firearmrights.ca, scroll down to the bottom of the page, sign up for the newsletter. This is the only foolproof way that we can get a hold of you if we are eliminated from social media. That would be a huge problem for us. But obviously we would fight it all the way. But that's the only real way that we have to get a hold of you. So if you're not on our mailing list or you're not a member, just go down there right now to firearmrights.ca and get on the mailing list. We won't spam you. We probably send an email out every 2 months. We're trying to do it every month, but I think the last one we sent out was probably 2.5 months ago.
So get on that, and if you're not a member, please consider becoming a member. We really need your help. We really want to do a lot of projects this year. We've got a television show, we've got explainer videos coming out, and we have a secret project or two on the front burner. I'll be able to talk more about that soon. And also, we're going to try to get our contest out in the next couple of weeks. I've been running around a little bit too much, a little more than usual, and I haven't been able to get that out, but I'm going to endeavor to have that done by the time the next podcast rolls around. So if you want to help out the CCFR, you can certainly enter that contest. So other than that, thanks a lot for listening. Don't forget to share this podcast and stay safe. We'll see you soon.
This is another episode of the CCFR Radio Podcast. Remember, if you don't stand up for your own ability to own and use firearms, who will? Join the CCFR or donate right now at www.firearmrights.ca.